We're going to watch this round that I filmed at Fulkerson disc golf course in the Finger Lakes on Seneca Lake. Filmed over a few different days, but I try to give you a good look at all 18 holes there. This is a recent Sunday. We had plenty of players there that day. Springtime, the trees are looking nice. I am going to be throwing almost totally Premier discs, the War Dove and the War Bear. I'm going to have a full video coming out soon where I review this stable putter from Premier Discs, the War Dove, and I did get to design the stamp for it, so that's what's gotten me super interested in trying it out. But I love the disc. I really like the way that it flies. Here's Rob throwing on hole 1. Great flick up there. Here's me with the War Dove. You'll be able to see that even if I'm not doing great throws with it, you can see what the flight is like. It's a nice stable disc. Here's John. Not sure what he was throwing there. Could have been a Rive, maybe. Here's me throwing the War Bear. I'll try to let you know what discs everybody else is throwing if I know what they are. That was from that Sunday. That was Drew with a nice upshot there. Not exactly the release point that I wanted there, but I was getting warmed up. Here's Jeff with a nice upshot on 2. Good job. Here's me. The War Dove went into the ditch here, but I've got another War Dove in the other plastic, the base plastic. Eco plastic is what Premier calls it. And I'm getting used to putting with that. Here's John. You might be able to see what disc that is. On this day, we were getting a lot of stability out of the discs. I really kind of yank it over to the right, and I'm helped out by the wind, taken back. It's the War Bear again. Here's Paris. Paris not even getting the turn on that day. It was pretty windy out. Here's Rob with a nice heads up move. Heads up, Rob. Yep, I almost hit him. Finishing up our putts here on hole 3. It's beautiful there, turning into spring. I plan to do another video in the summertime. You can see when the trees are filled in even more, and the vines should be growing in a lot more. But in general, it's getting more and more beautiful there every day. And the course is so well maintained. There's Cliff with a great drive on 4. We've all got kind of different routes that we take here. Rob showing you great low route there. John doesn't get it to drift over enough on that one. There's Rob going for the big sky hyzer route. It works out pretty well. He gets past the trees. And there's me, just not quite enough. Cliff gets through the trees there. Lots of different ways to approach this hole, but just get around those trees that are blocking the basket is really the play, somehow. John made his putt, I made my putt there. 4 is a hole that you can pretty easily par, but can be difficult to get a birdie. Here's 5, which is also usually quite challenging, but we did get some good film of people getting through. You'll see what happens to John there. Something similar happens to me. I think we end up hitting the early trees, but here's Cliff gets through, and that one actually goes right under the basket. Good throw by John. He gets past the trees, but he hyzers down the slope. He'll have an uphill putt. Here goes Paris. He turns it over nicely and bam, parks it right under the basket there. Rob with a good pitch up. Can save your par if you get eaten by the trees a little farther back. Here we all are finishing up on 5. Try to get a similar shot in the summertime when I film around here. Have those trees be totally filled in. Here's a great throw by Rob. We've been getting close to acing this one, acing 6 here. But you can get eaten up by these trees. Hits the tree. Ooh, don't hit that tree. There's me. Here's a great one by John. He almost gets it. So close here. Bam. And then you want to pitch up, get it to land on the hill, which Rob manages to do. Let's see if I can do it. Yep. Here's John putting in his near ace for the bird. It's fun to have an elevated hole like this. Adds a little bit more challenge. I've definitely gotten some bogeys here that could have been birdies. The Premier Discs War Dove. Also, don't see it a lot in this video, but here's the Shift Bag by Upper Park. And the War Bear by Premier. The Shift Bag has a really nice little pocket in the back of it that you can put your phone in for filming. So it makes a nice little tripod basically. Paris with a good throw but gets eaten by the trees. Cliff with a good throw. Ends up there on the left side a little bit. Rob's getting real close to acing this one lately. Ooh, good run. There's Paris, gets through, hangs up on the left there a little bit. Here's me, throwing a little bit early. Cliff almost gets it. I was trying to get back to my shoulder not hurting when I try to throw a forehand, so that one felt alright, but it was just a putter, pretty easy. Nice. Rob was saved from going too far over the edge there, which is one of the hazards. Even if you have a great drive on this hole, you could end up going over that edge. It's a tough hole for me, being not a great backhand thrower, but it's good practice. Here's a good backhand throw. Cliff turns it perfectly, maybe a little bit too early, but he gets a good roll back into the fairway. Paris, a super straight shot down there. He gets it parked, and I've got some footage here from down in the valley of people throwing. You can see the basket there on the right. It's a fun throw. I love the downhill throw. John does a similar throw to what I usually try to do, and he really gets far up there. It's great. Forehand flick with an overstable disc. Might have been a Firebird. There's a great throw by Cliff. Gets right onto the fairway. There's another one by Paris. I think that might be the Origin. Gets a lot of turn, actually goes into the cattails that are on the edge of the pond there. And this is kind of an example of what you don't want to have happen here. You hyzer out and you end up in the woods, you end up in jail. Paris is going to show us the local route, the high hyzer. I lose it here on camera because it actually goes higher than I was even expecting, but bam. It's a good play if you've got the arm for it. Get right to the fairway. John with a great throw there. Me with a timid throw. Yanked it again. Look out. But I didn't end up in too bad of a spot because the War Dove is actually so stable in my arm. Here's another day. That shows you some of the stability of the War Dove. I love that for upshots. So this was hole 8. It is one of my favorites because of the drive, but there's the trees there that can get you early. It can be a tough par to get. I think I have very few birdies. That was me missing for par. John makes his. Here's hole 9. Got the risk of the woods there on the left. If you hyzer, if you turn it too much, you go into the vineyard there, which is OB. Of course, you got to look out for anybody in there picking grapes or working the vines. John gets some nice turn, gets some good distance here. Oh, but it hits those back vines. It was too long. Here's Cliff with a good safe play, good safe place to land there. Here's me a little too far back, but bam, I used the War Dove, used the stability, and I got pretty close up there to the basket. This is from the woods, the kind of a tough play that you can end up with if you end up hyzering out into the woods. It's not OB, but oh, it can get nasty. He almost went into the vineyards, which is OB. Saved by the post there. Paris hits the shed, which is often kind of a safe play. Have a nice object there to just have the disc hit and you end up near the basket, but as you can see, there's no guarantees in disc golf. Now we're on to the back 9, hole 10. As John is pointing out there, it looks like that should have been a perfect shot to get into the wood line, into the path. Paris throws it, hits some things, but I think he ends up bouncing into the path. You see me here. I hyzer out a little bit earlier, but I do get to the pathway at least, which is what you want to do on 10. Get to see a little bit more about how the trees treat people, but here from this angle we've got some good examples of getting in there. John might have hit some stuff, but he actually does get pretty far into the wood line there. Rob throws a pretty good one, gets a little bit too high to get into the woods though. The branches get him. Here's Cliff. That's pretty much perfect to get up there to the pathway. Let's see if Paris can get through there. Paris does. He actually breaks through some stuff and gets up there to the pathway. I was happy with this one. That gets me underneath the basket for an easy par. Again, the War Dove with the stability. There's John with a birdie look, but he's in Sapling City over there. Paris with a birdie look. Behind the basket there, you do have a big drop off where you definitely don't want to go, so that's a nervy birdie look putt. Here's Cliff checking it up under the basket. And I'll show you the dangers of what happened when you throw it too far. This one, I feel like it looks like a good throw, but bam, it bounces and it's gone down the edge. Here's not too far down the edge there, but Rob and John had gone down there but saved the putt. And here's 11 down the pretty tight hallway. This is a par 4 with kind of a dog leg, one of the longer holes, which I really like. I tried to flick the War Bear there, and I didn't put enough on it to get it to go understable. John using the stability of the Firebird to get up there under the basket. I do really like this hole. Getting into the really wooded part of the course. It'll be fun to see this in the summer version of this video as all this is filled in, how different it's going to look, how much smaller these lines are going to be. There's Lazarus throwing forehand on hole 12. John going backhand. Rob showing you the forehand route from another angle. This is a very wooded one. A lot of people might say that there isn't really a line here, but I've seen it birdied a lot of times, so it's an optical illusion. You can get through there. We've got some pretty good examples of getting far enough up there to have kind of a look for birdie. I don't really. I gotta try to lay it up. I managed to get there, hit one of the logs. Paris running it for bird, almost gets it. There's my safe putting range right there. 13 through the woods as this hole kind of takes you back out of the woods and back into the vineyard area. It's a pretty simple straight up, and then you want to hyzer out towards the basket, which is on the edge of the woods. But it's not that wide of a hallway, and you can definitely yank it, as you see me do here. Yanked it, hit some trees. Didn't go too far into the woods, luckily. Found a little gap up in the trees, and I do manage to pretty safely get out of there. Might be able to save my par. Rob runs it. Can slide out into that field pretty easily. Good putt by John, good putt by Paris. I just laid it up for the safe bogey. Could have been worse if I slid farther out into the field. And there's a look at the beautiful lake here in pretty early spring. So things are about to get a lot greener. It's already starting to look beautiful, especially since we've been playing the course pretty regularly this winter, but it's been a lot grayer. It's a beautiful day for us. We actually had great weather. Might have been like 80 degrees today. And on this day it was raining. But here's Jeff with an example of a pretty good drive. He hyzers, but he stays safe right there on the edge of the vineyard. And where the basket is up there on the edge of the trees on the right, you actually have a better look at it from the left side. So to get the distance to get down there, you want to really flirt with the trees, as Rob does, and gets a good kick back out here. But not being in jail too far on the right on those trees is a good idea. I do a pretty safe flick here. It's a par 4, so I don't really need to get that crazy far down there in order to even still have a birdie look. But the danger of going OB there in the vineyards is always present, and I've done it many, many times. Paris trying to bite off the whole fairway. he can do it. Up there for an eagle look practically. Can be tough if you can't get around there to the edge of the woods. Seeing Rob was a little bit too far on the right. Here's Cliff with a good throw because he was on the left side. Much easier to get in there. Here's Paris more on the left. He's throwing a glitch here. Anheuser. Ooh, almost goes in the basket. That would have been an eagle. Alright, here's Rob on 15. Rob did ace this one time. Cliff with a good throw here. Most people would say that it's good to go long here and have the uphill putt. If you want to live dangerously, though, you can try to park it under the basket and hopefully not get a rollaway or end up at risk of a rollaway on your second shot, your actual putt. Like I have here, but I was pretty close. Pretty easy putt for me there. Here is the farther back tee pad. Not always the one that we have played, but it's the one that we play now. When I haven't quite figured it out, I hit the hill there. Here's Cliff has it figured out though. He gets it up there, parked under the basket. Here is the tee pad we would normally play up until recently, a little bit closer. Still somehow makes this it's a challenging hole there. But a lot of birdie looks. Wind usually becomes a factor on these last few holes here on the edge of the hill. But now we're on to 17. Which is fun. It looks like you're going to throw down onto the highway there. See the basket way down there. Rob with a pretty good throw, but it might have hit something. Wind might have gotten it. Here's his redemption. He actually skipped there and got parked right under the basket for a birdie. Here's Paris. You can see what happens when the wind takes it and you can go long, long, long into the yard. Lots of different ways to try to get down there. It's another really fun downhill throw. It's a little tough for me when I want to actually do the forehand throw, but can definitely be parable or birdieable for somebody who can just control their backhand. That was my look for birdie. This forehand flick actually did get pretty far down there. There Cliff gets his. Now we're on to hole 18. Paris goes OB, turns it over too much. Wind still a factor. Cherry trees are looking beautiful there on the left though. Cliff kind of finds them there. Rob shows you this is what you want it to do. I believe that during tournaments and maybe part of the summer, the grass will be grown up a little bit more on the right side here to try to make it a hazard, designate some OB area. And even if that had been the case, Rob still would have been up there with a look for eagle. And it takes you back to the winery and the parking lot. Some great course design here. And sometimes after we finish up on 18, we still want to throw more. And we can kind of throw down to, from the top of the hill at 18, back down to where the basket is on 1. Just look out for anything that's going on in the orchard down there. But it's a beautiful course. Love being able to play here. Love that the course is so well maintained.